Welcome back. We're here bringing you the best bets for UFC 304. The prediction model has been on a downturn for a couple of weeks, but we are looking to get back in the black this week. Starting off, we have Modestas Bukauskas versus Marcin Prachnio. Prachnio's first fight in the UFC was Sam Alvey's second to last victory in the promotion. This fight is a journeyman versus journeyman, as both have a losing record in the UFC. The model likes Marcin, so that's where we're putting our money. It looks like these guys were higher up in the prelims, but they've been moved down to the early prelims, and they certainly deserve that. Next up, we have Sam Patterson versus Kiefer Crosby. Patterson has only been to decision twice in his whole career. He has one victory and one split draw. He lives and dies by the sword, and luckily for us, Crosby is the same, so hopefully we are in for a banger. The model is very strong on Sam Patterson, and we are taking that favorite bet. Next up in the welterweight division, we have Oban Elliott versus Preston Parsons. Elliott is on a 6-fight win streak. He spent his entire pro career at Cage Warriors until last August, when he got a win in Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Parsons has gone 2-2 since getting into the UFC in 2021. The model is reasonably close on this fight, as are the book odds. So we are going with Oban Elliott as the underdog at the books, which should be a nice return if the model turns out to be accurate. At heavyweight, we have Mick Parkin versus Lukasz Brzeski. Parkin is undefeated at 9-0. He was a pure knockout guy until he got to the UFC. He had a rear naked choke finish on his Tuesday Night Contender Series fight and has since gone to decision in his last 3 fights, including his most recent win against Mohammed Usman. The UFC is so desperate for heavyweight talent that Brzeski is still on the roster. His Tuesday Night Contender Series win was overturned to a no contest after a failed drug test for clomiphene. Then he went on to lose his first 3 fights in the UFC. He finally got a decision win against Walter Walker in April of this year. Luckily for us, the model picked Mick Parkin, and we are happy to place a bet on him. Staying in the prelims, we have Cowlin Loughran versus Jake Hadley. Loughran is 9-1 with his only loss coming in his UFC debut against Taylor Lapilus. Hadley can only win if he gets a finish. Otherwise, he is losing the decision. The model has Hadley as a slight favorite at -111, while at the books he is a moderate underdog at +190. We are hoping that Hadley finds a way and gets the finish this Saturday. Moving on, we have Molly McCann versus Bruna Brazil. Molly has gone 3-2 in her last 5. Her last 4 fights have all been submission finishes in which she has won 2 and lost 2. Brazil got into the UFC off of a head kick finish on Tuesday Night Contender Series. Since then, she has only gone 1-2. The model slightly prefers Molly McCann, who is a very large favorite at the books, so we are going to risk that favorite money and take Molly McCann. Next up is Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda. Wood has been in the UFC since 2018 and has a decent record in the organization of 7-3. This is Pineda's second stint in the UFC. He came back to the UFC in 2020 and has gone 2-2 since then. Tapology users are picking Wood at a 96% rate, and it's hard to disagree. The model also likes Nathaniel Wood as a moderate favorite, and this was the largest book favorite that we were taking. In the flyweight division, we have Mohamed Mokaev versus Manel Kape. Looking at Mokaev's record, we found a win that was removed. We don't have time to go into Hayden Sheriff. He appears to be the English Bob Sapp. But if you want to see something interesting, check out Hayden Sheriff's 31-fight losing streak. Personally, I'm a big fan of Manel Kape, so I'm hoping that he can make weight and does not pull out of the fight this weekend. But the model prefers Mokaev, and so that's where we'll be placing our money. He is a moderate favorite in the model. At the books, much less so. So it's good value on this favorite bet. Next up, we have Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze at featherweight. Allen is 3-2 in his last 5, but when you take a closer look at those 2 losses, you'll see Max Holloway and the undefeated Movsar Evloev. Chikadze is 8-1 in the UFC, with his only loss coming from Calvin Kattar. The model has Allen as the favorite at minus 171, while the book is showing him as a moderate favorite at minus 240. Chalk this up as another favorite bet for us this weekend. Moving on, we have Christian Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. Duncan is 10-1 as a professional, with 8 of his victories coming by knockout. He has shown the ability to finish the fight in any round. Rodriguez is 6-2 in the UFC, with 5 of those wins being knockouts. Also, 1 of his 2 losses is also by knockout. So with any luck, this will be another banger. The model is very close to the book odds in this one, with Duncan being the favorite on both sides. So once again, we are laying our money on the favorite. Back to the lightweights, we have Bobby Green versus Paddy Pimblett. Green has been a 50-50 fighter since he entered into the UFC back with the Strikeforce merger. Lately, this has led to exciting fights. Win or lose, most of Green's recent fights have ended in a finish. Pimblett is undefeated in the UFC and, in theory, should have the advantage on the ground. If Green can force the fight to stay on the feet, he can definitely chin Paddy. The model is strong on Paddy, and we're laying our money there. We see very good value at only a minus 105. On to the heavyweights, we have Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. As far as we're concerned, the winner of this fight is the undisputed heavyweight champion. There was not much to their first fight, except it looked like Blades had all the confidence to stand and bang with Aspinall. With it only lasting 15 seconds, it's hard to say anything conclusive. Hopefully this fight picks up right where the last one left off, and we'll be in for a great fight. The model is very close on this one, being just outside of pick'em range, but with a slight lean going to Tom Aspinall. With us betting all model favorites, we will be putting down the minus 350 for Tom. Finally, for the main event, we've got Leon Edwards versus Bilal, can't remember his fights, Muhammad. Taking a look at their first fight, Leon should have lost on principle. He eye-poked Bilal in the first round and got a hard warning from Herb Dean. It's about time for refs to do their job with these fouls and quit giving unlimited warnings. Otherwise, Leon is the better fighter and should win this. God help us if Bilal becomes champion. Luckily for us, the model agrees, having Leon as the moderate favorite at minus 160, with him being an even stronger favorite at the books. There's not a lot of value here, but our current betting strategy says to bet all model favorites, so we will continue that this weekend. Wrapping up, we have 13 total wagers this weekend, 9 on favorites and 4 underdogs. Because of the high number of favorite bets we made this week, our risk is higher than normal at 29.28 units. Our potential win, though, is still decent at 43.90 units, with a potential gain of 50% or 14.62 units. That's going to be it for this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will be traveling this next week, so the results video for UFC 304 will be tied in with the results video for UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi.